The Committee for Economic Development, I'll be very brief. We were founded in 1942. One of the early projects that we took on was the design of what became the Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe after World War II. And our founding trustee, a former CEO, the head of Studebaker, you're all too young to remember this. Studebaker used to be a car company. And the head of Studebaker founded CED, and President Truman asked him, given his commitment to what became the Marshall Plan, Paul Hoffman became the first administrator of the Marshall Plan. So our history goes back almost 70 years. We work on international issues, domestic policy issues, and in recent years we have become recognized as a nonpartisan, non-ideological business voice focusing on public policy issues that we think are critical to the country's future economic growth. And so in recent years, we've been the business voice in favor of campaign finance reform, healthcare reform, a whole series of reforms in education. We've looked at globalization and trade. And our niche is the voice of our 200 trustees. We have about 200 senior members from the American business community and about 24 leading university presidents who come together in our subcommittees and actually decide what we're going to work on and then what we're going to say. So when CED comes out with recommendations that you'll hear about tonight in terms of what do we do about the fiscal crisis facing the country, you can be assured that they are nonpartisan. We have Republicans, Democrats, independents on the board, and we really try to put the country's interest first. I do want to just confess one of the hidden agendas behind why we're here tonight and really pleased to be at the Darden School. I'm a lawyer, so I can say this, I think. The American business community over the last decade has not really distinguished itself. There is a reason why poll after poll in the last year shows that the public's confidence in the American business community is relatively low, slightly above Congress. That's the good news. The bad news is that in one poll late in the summer, Congress was at 11% public approval, and big business was, it had gone up from 16 to 17%. Now, for those of you who plan to make a career in business, this is not a good thing. And what we hope to do by holding forums like this in Charlottesville, and we've done them at Stanford and Michigan and Roanoke and Harvard around the country, is we hope to talk with the next generation of business leaders in this country, men and women such as yourselves, so that you understand that the cost of capital is going to affect your success, and what happens or doesn't happen on the fiscal deficit is going to affect the cost of capital. That's just one example. If we have a dysfunctional education system, that's going to affect the quality of the people who come to work in your companies. We use the term at CED, business statesmanship. It was coined by our longest-serving trustee, who is Pete Peterson. Many of you know Pete, along with Steve Schwartzman, co-founded the Blackstone Group. Pete was the Commerce Secretary under President Nixon, and in short, he's made a lot of money, and a lot of money, which he doesn't need. And so he took $1 billion of his personal fortune 2 years ago and created the Peter G. Peterson Foundation to focus on issues such as what we're talking about tonight. Pete believes very strongly that we need a generation, a new generation of businessmen and businesswomen who are not only good at running their companies, but also have an interest in where the country is going. And so that's our hidden agenda here, and I hope that it's a wonderful sign that so many of you have come out to join us. We are honored by your presence and hope you enjoy the discussion this evening. So thank you all for coming. And now I get to introduce Joe Minerick, who is, his remarks, I think you're going to find a real treat. Joe is our Senior Vice President and Head of Research at CED. About the worst thing I can say about Joe is that he has 3 graduate degrees in economics, all from Yale. It is what it is, right, Joe? But Joe's been with us for a number of years at CED, and he has also, in addition to being a world-class economist, has been inside the belly of the beast being the Congress of the United States and the administration. He has served as the chief economist to the House Budget Committee, and also the chief economist of the Office of Management and Budget. So if there is any expert in the country on fiscal and economic policy issues that touch our government, it's Joe Minerick. And we are very pleased to have Joe at CED, and I think you're going to find his macroeconomic perspective both interesting and alarming. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Senior Vice President and Director of Research at CED, Dr. Joseph Minerick. Joe.